Okay, so in today's video, we're going to be showing off my updated Cyber Dragon deck profile. And the only thing mad change is Clockwork Knight. And I'll show you, I suppose, a combo at the end of the video if you want to see it. But yeah, so we have the original OG Cyber Dragon. It is a pity you need to run it at 3, but you do. It'd be nice if you could do like the Blue Eyes deck now, where it's become that consistent. You only need 2 or something. But it is in itself a board breaker with the likes of Clockwork Knight, the fact that it's searchable. So I mean, it's not as bad, but yeah, I don't know. It is like it's OG. It's a cool card. The not new one anymore, but Dia Blaster is basically a Cyber Dragon itself. It's a light machine. It's 500 attack, so it is a machine duplication target. It special summons itself if there's a column that's free. Yeah, and it's just level 5. So like 9 times out of 10, if you do open up with second this and this, you do have a Nova and a Cyber Dragon Nova and a Cyber Dragon Infinity play, so that's not as bad. And then we have our 2. It's always been called Soldier's always been called an honorary Cyber Dragon. You discard a light, special summon it, and then search for another galaxy. So that could be your Nova and Infinity right there. Chimera, who has increasingly become better, and oh, by the way, in the next set, Alliance Insight, I think it's called, there is more Cyber Dragon Sports 2 cards. There's the Cyber Dark Worm, which will be run in conjunction with this card, and then there's 3 Cyber Jormungandr, which will be a big thing for the deck. But yeah, so then we have Cyber Dark Claw. This is just another way to get into your Cyber Dark Chimera if you don't open with Core. Claw will get you the spell. The spell will search this, and then you go into your plays that way. So that's why we run that. I think if Worm comes out, it might be a bit more useful, but yeah, I'm not sure. Next we have 3 Core. Another pity that this card has never got an upgrade, rarity wise, because it would look very, very nice secret rare. But this is your search card of the deck. This card itself it's not full combo, but it's more like with this you're ending on Seeger and a Regulus, which for one card's not bad, especially in Cyber Dragons, and especially it is a board breaker in itself with the Clockwork Knight. 2 Hearts. It is a way to recycle your core for next turn. If he's sent to the graveyard, so even if you did normal summon and link away and he's sent to the grave that way, you can either search a Cyber Dragon in your deck or a Cyber Dragon in the graveyard. So like core counts as in the graveyard, so you get this back for next turn, which isn't bad. The 1 Nashter, it special summons a monster with 2100 defense if it's normal or special summon, and it has the effect of special summon itself by discarding a monster. But you can special summon, like if you don't get Chimera's effect off, Chimera does have 2100 defense. If you can see it there, 2100 defense. So you can special summon the likes of that with Nashter. So it does have a few things to use. We're running the 1 Jizukiru and the 1 Regulus. The reason being is Jizukiru is searchable off a lot of the spells that we use. And you can just tribute your opponent's monster and then go into Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon in your extra deck that way. Being a board breaker like that again. And only because it's searchable is that why we're running it. It's kind of handy just if your opponent does have something that you cannot get over. It's grand to tribute it. And then we have King Regulus, who is now searchable in a core, just summon core, and it's a searchable 2800 attack with a negate that tributes itself. So it'd be rude not to. Then we have 3 Emergency. Yeah, Cyber Emergency is just one of the best search cards in the deck. Just searches any light that can't be normal summoned or special summoned or a Cyber Dragon monster, so it's all your whole deck. 2 Machine Dupe. Yeah, we're running a lot of targets. You're running Dia Blaster, which is again a Nova or a Chronomaly Venma. And then you're running your Hearts and Core, which can be treated as Cyber Dragons as well, so you're special with those. So it's still a very good card. 2 Clockwork Knight. Like I said, it is searchable, but in itself, it is a board breaker with the Cyber Dragons because it makes your opponent's monsters all machine, and then you can just contact fuse with the whole lot and get rid of your opponent's board. Drop this down to 2 from the last build, so this is Duality. This one's kind of cool. You can just tribute a light or dark monster and special summon a light or dark monster from your hand or extra deck. So basically what you do is if you open up with that and even Diablaster, let's say. You can tribute Diablaster and then special summon your Rampage from the extra deck, and then Rampage gets 3 attacks by sending, but you get to plus off a lot of stuff, so that's why it's there. And then in the grave, it counts as a draw card because you can get rid of your light and your dark, which you are searching off the first turn. Shuffle them back, banish this, and draw a card, so it's pretty nice that way. It's all utility. There's no real like 1-card starters in this deck as much as core, like, but you know. Cyberdark Realm, basically this is the card you want to search your first turn with core, because it searches you Chimera and then it gets off your little Clockwork Knight plays, which we will get into in a bit. The 1 power bond, because Chimera searches it, and it's your OTK, it's your win con. Droplets, because like a lot of old decks, there's a few cards in your hand or cards you use that are a bit dead, so this just helps you break your opponent's board with the dead cards that you're using or in your hand. Thrust and Tactics. You can search a good bit of stuff out with Thrust. You can search your power bond, you can search your machine duplication, you can search cyber repair plant, you can search for lightning storm, you can search a load of stuff with your Thrust. You can search Tactics. Tactics just lets you, it's all dependent on what your opponent has and what you have. So if you need to draw 2 cards, if you need to look at your opponent's hand, or you need to take your opponent's monster, that's what Tactics Talents is for. And Thrust just searches that if your opponent stops you. Repair Plant searches the Jizakira, searches any light machine. If there's Cyber Dragon in Graves, that's why it's only at 1. Lightning Storm, just because it is searchable and your opponent might have something, back row or monsters you need to get rid of. Cop at the Grave, just to stop your opponent if you do draw this and you do have your combo, you can just stop your opponents from using hand traps. Infinite Impermanence. This one is, see, it's not really much, like you don't run many hand traps in this deck. The reason being is it is an OTK deck, and it needs its combo pieces. It's an OTK combo. I don't know, it's an old deck, so it runs a little bit different than common recent Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. But anyway, yeah, it is a negate, and it's a hand trap that can be used on your turn as well. And then we have the 1 Overflow again. It is searchable with core, and you can banish Cyber Dragons at different levels and destroy that many cards your opponent controls. So it's just in case, depends on what you have, depends on what your opponent has. Your opponent has a board and you just have core. You don't want to search out stuff that you know you're going to get negated. So you can just search this, set this, and then try and stop your opponent's board that way, you know. Like that, it's all depending on what your opponent has. Okay, for the extra deck then, we have Knight. Knight is a very, very cool card. I suppose I can go over the combo while we have him here, just to annoy you guys. So yeah, so you're gonna summon, sorry, I'll take this off. You're gonna summon core. Core is going to search you. Could have done this a bit better, but sure, look. Core is going to search you Realm. Realm is, you're going to summon core. You're going to activate Realm. Realm's going to get you Chimera. You're going to normal summon Chimera off Realm's effect. And then you're going to link away for the new Clockwork Knight. Clockwork Knight's going to destroy a spell and trap or whatever. And it lets you search out for your Clockwork Knight. Your Clockwork Knight. And then you're going to activate Chimera's effect to discard a spell or trap. Get rid of Clockwork Knight. And search for your Power Bond. Then you can activate his Clockwork Knight's second effect to get rid of Chimera. And to special summon the core back from grave, which allows you then to link these two away because you have a Cyber Dragon now to go into Seeger. And then you can banish your Clockwork Knight from grave to search for an Earth Machine, which is your Regulus. You can equip core to Regulus to special summon it. So from that you have a 4200 beater and a negate, and you still have Power Bond in your hand if you had something that you could use. If there's something else, maybe you have a Cyber Dragon in your hand that was dead, you know, or something like that. And that's only if your opponent doesn't have anything. If your opponent did have a board, when you search Clockwork Knight, you could have summoned the core and then went out for Fortress. If that's what your opponent has, and depending if your opponent had 5 monsters and you summon core and have Clockwork Knight, that's a 6000 beat stick. you know, again, it's all dependent on what your opponent has and what you need to get over as an OTK deck. You need to get over your opponent's boards. So, yeah, so running the new Clockwork Knight, Seeger, running SP, just because SP is SP. So you can do Clockwork Knight, and when you summon the core, you can then go into SP and then banish an opponent's monster. So it's pretty cool, as well as your opponent doing stuff. Depending on if you maybe it's your first turn, you can do it that way. And then we have the one unicorn, just because again, you can easily go into it. It's a dark for duality. It's a banish your opponent's stuff. It's just a good card, I suppose. But you can run anything else you want, I suppose. The one Nova, a lot of people run two Nova and two Infinity. The only problem is this deck's an OTK. It's not really like a going first deck. Obviously, the deck can go first now, but the main point of it is to finish your opponent at turn 3 if you're going first, or second turn if you're going second. And you can't run Infinity can only be summoned once per turn, so there's no point. So you can do one core, special summon a Cyber Dragon from grave, go for Infinity. And Infinity is a negate and a great card, and steal your opponent's monster and attach it to it as a material. If you are going first, like there's no point wasting the extra deck space. Maybe if you want to run that new Metaltronus card, get rid of your Cyber Dragon Nova and Infinity, and put in a detonator and something else for your Metaltronus, because you can have space in this extra deck. You're not going to go into everything. It's depending on what your opponent has. But I run Canomaly Venma because some cards lock you into machines, not a lot. But if you are going first turn, there's been a turn where I ended with Nova, Venma, which is a negate, Regulus, which is a negate, and then the Mythical Dawn, which is a spell and trap negate. So you can do it. And then obviously the one Zeus. Let's say you do have Venma. Venma gets rid of both of his materials. If your opponent has nothing else, whatever, you can attack and then just overlay on top for Zeus if that is what you have to do. If it is going into later game. The two Rampage Dragon. The reason being is maybe if you are going first and you do your little play where you can get Power Bond, you can fusion summon into Rampage for another level 5 if you have something else, and you can go into your Infinity and Venma that way by banishing like your 2 lights from grave or 2 Cyber Dragons from grave and special summon this, and this is another level 5 then. Or you can use it for the OTK purposes, which is like it can destroy all spells and traps up to the number of materials, and you can send 2 more Cyber Dragons like Hearts to recycle your core, and you can attack that many times. So it attacks 3 times with 42, so that's your OTK. Then we have Mythical Dawn, which is just 2 light machines. I wish it just said a light machine and a machine type monster would have been kind of that little bit better, because then you could use Power Bond to use Chimera. Engraved, especially with this, and you can always end on the 2800 that's in a spell and trap negate. It's basically your FA Dawn Dragster. And then we have 2 Fortress, because Clockwork Knight is searchable now. You might as well use that, depending on, again, what your opponent has. You could just fuse away your opponent's whole board. Or if you need to make up space and get rid of stuff on your own board, you can just fuse that as well. The one Mega Fleet, because like that extra deck or link monsters are being used more, especially like Malice and stuff, so you can just get rid of your opponent's Malice off the field and go into Mega Fleet. And then the one Cyber End Dragon. This could be Cyber Twin Dragon, depending on what you want. But again, there's been a lot of situations where I have had I've had like 3 Cyber Dragons in grave and used Power Bond, and then this has 8,000 attack with inflicting damage as well as a Seeger, so Seeger would end game then. But yeah, it's a cool deck. That is it. I don't have a side deck, but you can run any side deck you wish. But like, if you want to keep watching, I'm going to just show you what a kind of hand is like, or what you can do. That's depending on if I actually get a good hand. But let's do a proper shuffle here and see what we can do. Okay. The reason I'm not very efficient at this is there is a big camera in my face. So, yeah. Just give it a quick shuffle and see what we can do. If you hear that noise, that's me hitting my face off the camera because I'm trying to see the cards and keep it in shot at the same time. Anyway, let's just split the deck and go with that. Five cards, okay. So this is your hand. We didn't open core, but that's fine. Let's say your opponent doesn't have anything. So we'll go with emergency. We'll search for our core, wherever it is. Might bring the camera a little bit back further. There you go, it might be a bit better. Anyway, so put that there. We can go with core then. Core is going to search us our Cyberdark spell, wherever it may be. Realm. You're going to activate Realm to search Zyme, no, wherever he is. Okay, Chimera. So let's just move this back further. Okay, so core is going to search us this realm. We're going to activate realm to normal summon. We're going to link away this to go for our new Clockwork Knight, which I'm going to move everything down a little bit. Anyway, Clockwork Knight. Clockwork Knight on summon then is going to attribute this. Search for our Clockwork Knight. Okay. Chimera's effect going to activate to get rid of Clockwork Knight. Search for our Regulus. Our Regulus. Clockwork Knight second effect is to attribute this, the special summon back the core. For a little bit of deck thinning, so you don't do it. Chimera has a second effect engrave to send a Cyber Dark monster that isn't already there, so you can just send your claw that you were going to search first turn just to add consistency. So that's in the grave now. Yeah, and then we have these. So if your opponent did have something, I mean, you have thrust, but you can do let me see. We have Dia Blaster. Excuse me. Yeah, we didn't open Grant. I'm trying to think now. I suppose you could do these two. Let's go for Seeger or SP Little Knight, depending. You have Regulus, which is going to put. I think it's just a machine, isn't it? So you could just do Chimera, and then you have Overflow. Depending on what you need. So like if your opponent did activate something there that would have stopped it, obviously you wouldn't have this board, but you would have activated Thrust and then got whatever cards you needed depending on that. So like if it did stop even if it Ash Blossomed your core, let's say, just for instance, what am I looking? You could have got a dupe, activate machine duplication. So you would have went plus there if your opponent did like Ash Blossom your stuff, because then you would have summoned your Cyber Dragon, as well as having core, let's say, and you would have overlaid for Nova and Infinity. You would have done it that way. And then Dia Blaster can just special summon itself as well. So you would have had like core, Cyber Dragon, Dia Blaster. So you could have went into Nova and Infinity and then still went into Seeker that way, or even used the Clockwork Knight as well the same way. Still what hurts in your hand for some sort of discard if you had it. And then obviously, let's say when your cards are gone, you still have a pop of, so you can still banish Hertz, Cyber Dragon, and Core in your grave to destroy 3 cards your opponent controls as well as that. So I mean, it's not bad. So you'll have a negate, like with this hand anyway. You'd still have a pop 3 or a pop 2 in that case, and a gate, and then a 42 beater that is hard to get over attack wise. You know. So yeah, just thought I'd show you guys a few combos. But yeah, I mean, we could do it again and hope for a better hand. This hand is ultimately better. Don't know if you can see it, but yeah. So like there, I would do core, same effect. Core to get your realm. Realm's gonna get Chimera. Let me move all this out of the way. Realm is going to get Chimera. Normal summon Chimera. Activate Core to send your Clockwork Knight. Clockwork Knight is going to start our second Clockwork Knight because we drew the first one. And then you're going to discard off Chimera to search for Power Bond. And just in case you didn't know, his effect, Chimera's effect is to use the graveyard in hand this turn as Power Bond. You can use it with Power Bond. That's gone because of Clockwork Knight's effect. And then you can activate Clockwork Knight's effect to summon out the core again. Then we can Galaxy Soldier our Cyber Dragon, Specialman Soldier, to search for another soldier. There it is. Just in case, I suppose you can actually, while we're doing that, we can banish the Clockwork Knight in our grave to search Regulus first, so we have a bit of protection there first. So there's Regulus. Regulus is going to, I suppose if we discarded the core instead, you could have the core attached to it. So Soldier then is going to do the same thing in Specialman itself. So we have the two. Then let's overlay. So we have one negate so far. And then we have Nova. Nova's going to activate its effect. Specialman out a Cyber Dragon from grave. And then we'll go into Infinity, which is now 2 negates. We still have the Clockwork Knight. Just in case your opponent does have a whole board, you could just, fuse it away. But we can go into Power Bond either. Let me see. We can go into Power Bond. Or we can do... Yeah, we could just do these two. Link away these two to go into Seeger. And then we can do the Power Bond to fuse into these two. Let me see if it's actually 2 Cyber Dragon monsters. So you'd need to go into this. If this was going second, let's say you could do it that way. Obviously, a matter of using core for this. But if you can use cards on field or whatever, let's say you got rid of Regulus or Regulus was used, then I don't know, maybe. Then you could go into Rampage. Rampage could destroy cards your opponent controls, spells and traps, and then it would send your Hertz and another Cyber Dragon, let's say. Hertz would let you get a core back to your hand, one of the 2 cores back to your hand, and you could overlay these two to go into Venma that way. Yeah, there's loads of different variations. That's like a 2 negates as well as Regulus would have negated something else as well as a board wipe on next turn if that's what you need to use. Seeger's obviously a high attack monster. If you needed to attack with this, let's say your opponent did activate something in the battle phase, let's say Tempai, you can negate it, and then on main phase 2 go into Zeus, and Infinity can obviously steal a card your opponent controls as well. So it's, it's not too bad of a deck. It's a complete like wipe your board deck. But yeah, I hope you liked the video, guys. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and good luck.